This is a prayer that is attributed to King David.
Okay.
And it's really interesting because it really speaks to, I think, the anxieties and hopes of people
Uh-huh.
who are going through some tough times.
Right.
And what's so cool is, this is a text from thousands of years ago, but it still resonates with people today.
Absolutely.
So let's put ourselves in David's shoes for a second.
Okay.
We've got this shepherd, warrior, and king. He's pouring his heart out to God.
Right.
What would that even sound like? What kind of comfort or guidance would he even be looking for?
Well, I think one of the most fascinating things about this psalm is the structure.
Okay.
It's almost like David created this very carefully crafted roadmap for
Right, yeah.
navigating his struggles.
Right.
And it starts with this plea for God's attention.
Yeah.
Almost like a desperate call for help,
It really does feel like an urgent message.
Yeah.
Give ear to my words, O Lord. That's the first verse.
Yeah,
You can just sense the weight of his trouble.
exactly. And then he shifts
Yeah.
to acknowledging God's attributes, God's righteousness, and God's hatred of evil.
Yeah.
And this sets the stage for his own plea, reminding himself and us who he's turning to.
You know what? That makes me think about
Yeah,
how sometimes when we are about to ask for a big favor,
right.
we kind of ground ourselves
It's-
beforehand, right?
Yeah.
We remind ourselves of the person's character.
Yes.
Or maybe their past actions before we ask them for that favor.
Absolutely.
And it's almost like David is doing that here with God, right?
It's a very human element.
Total.
And then we see David talking about his morning routine in verse 3.
Right.
He seeks God early each day, not just in times of crisis, but consistently,
Yes.
and this disciplined practice, this routine really highlights how important this connection with the
Yes.
higher power is.
And I love how specific that image is.
Yeah.
It's not just some vague notion of prayer.
No.
It's an actual act.
Right.
A deliberate act of seeking guidance at the start of each day.
Exactly.
It makes me wonder what it would look like for us to incorporate that kind of intentionality
Right.
into our own lives.
Absolutely. Even if it's not in a religious context,
Yeah.
whether that's, meditation, journaling, just taking a moment of quiet reflection,
Right.
that space for centering ourselves can be so powerful.
Right. And then the song takes this really dramatic turn
Okay.
when David talks about entering God's house in the multitude of your mercy.
Yes.
It was almost like he's just overwhelmed by how vast God's compassion is.
That imagery is really striking,
Yeah.
and suggests that God's mercy isn't something that we have to earn or chase after,
Right.
but rather something that surrounds us. We can just step right into it.
Yeah, it makes me think about how we sometimes get so caught up in our own mess-ups
Yes.
that we just totally forget about, the possibility of grace and forgiveness.